what are some storylines for the Big 12 for each team heading into this year with a rare 14-team conference for the Big 12, and because it's the only year for it too. I know it's way too early for this, but in no particular order. Oklahoma, how much will their defense improve from year one under Brent Venables to year two? Baylor, what's their identity on offense? / who's going to start at quarterback between Simon Robertson and Blake Shapen? Texas, will they go back to the Big 12, win the Big 12 again for the first time since 2009? They've had talent in the past and they have failed. So that's my biggest question, especially when they're set up so well on offense. I mean, they only lose Bijan and Roschon Johnson on offense. And who's going to start at quarterback for Texas? But will Quinn Ewers step up and be an NFL draft pick this year? Or is it going to be Arch Manning going to take over for him? That's Texas Tech is simple. How much will the offensive line improve / the defense? I'm only saying offensive line because you know the quarterback situation for Texas Tech last year. They have to use every guy due to injury. So, yeah, that's one reason for that. And the defense at times, they're just inconsistent. It seemed like they were not really good on the road compared to at home. And that's why they beat Texas and Oklahoma too. I mean, Kansas State, will they go back to the Big 12 title game? It's that simple because they do have their starting quarterback back, but they lose Deuce Vaughn and the three best wide receivers. But they got a good transfer for Kansas State at running back, and I know they got good tight ends. I mean, and they got a really good backup running back too. For Kansas State from last year, he's back too, and they do lose some pieces on defense too. Well, Kansas, can they get back to 7 wins or more for the first time since 2008? They have to improve the defense. Of course, they have to do that. But I'm just saying, like a winning season. Sure, 6-6 is a winning season, but when you lose the bowl game, that to me that's a losing season. Oklahoma State, who's going to step up in those key position losses, especially when they're skill position guys? I mean, running back, wide receiver, quarterback. I know they lost some guys on defense too, so they really had a lot of attrition. Well, UCF, will they finish close to the top half of the Big 12? I know they do have to replace 10 starters, but to me they're the best set up because of the easier transition, because they have a stable head coach, stability at that head coaching spot, and 2, they got their starting quarterback back. So, TCU, how much of a step back will they take? It's really that simple. They lost 79% of the production in terms of touchdowns on offense last year to this year. And the defense has to improve too. And remember, they had 10 games within 14 points. I mean, I can't make this stuff up. Because you cannot win all those games like you did last year. Because of that. Cincinnati, how are they going to look without Luke Fickell at the helm as head coach? BYU, can they make it to a bowl game this year? And that's really because I know they're used to playing a lot of teams. They're technically Power 5, but this is a different level because independent to playing whoever you want. And I know they play some Power 5 opponents, but to play them week in, week out in terms of conference. That's going to be interesting. Same thing goes for all the new teams in the Big 12, too. Houston. Will they make it to a bowl? I mean, they have to replace who's going to start at quarterback. Who's going to replace the best wide receiver? That's a good question. Because, last year they disappointed. I mean, they did. West Virginia is simple. Can they go back to a bowl game or bust? / will Neil Brown get fired early? Will he? That's the biggest question to me. It really, really is. And last, Iowa State. Will they go back to a bowl game? Or they're going to be like stumbling block again? I mean, it's the truth about Iowa State. Their offense was abysmal. They have good defense, though. It's just the offense. And I just feel like their time period to really be good has ended for a little bit. I know they bring back Hunter Deckers, but here's the deal. The defense can only carry you so far. You're almost like Iowa, your rival in a way. That's just some of my thoughts on each team in the Big 12 in terms of a storyline going into next year. So it's going to be very, very interesting, to say the least, with 14 teams for 1 year only. I mean, and not everybody plays everybody anymore. Obviously, you can't have that. That would be 13 conference games when you have to have 3 non-con games in the mix. And who's got the toughest schedule? Who's got the toughest? Who's got the easiest? Type of deal. We're going to have to wait and see. It's way too early, I know, but I just want to get some quick thoughts on that. Like and subscribe. If you haven't already, let's confirm scores. We're on the road to it. Let's go. And based on the identity for Baylor offensively, are they going to be back like 2021? Or are they going to be 2022? I mean, this past year, or a little mixture of both. And they need to be consistent, too.